Alright, so welcome to this video. I think we are going to be talking about finally JavaScript, some things you should know, just basic things you should know before we finally go into JavaScript for the web. Because I believe it's high time I say this. There are two types of JavaScript actually. There is JS, short form for JavaScript, one part for the web, JavaScript for the web, and JavaScript for basic logic, or as I love to call it, JavaScript for basic logic. Now, what do I mean by this two? For the web, of course, that's JavaScript that used to interact with browsers to make website interactive. Now, JavaScript was actually made for the web, not for logic, but because it's a language, obviously, it can be used for backend technology, and other things. But basically, the majority of what JS is used for is for the web. Other languages handle logic and backend everything. So I'm going to give you a simulation of an ATM machine, and what I think an ATM machine can do. Of course, it allows you to be able to deposit some funds, and it allows you to be able to withdraw withdraw funds, and finally it allows you to be able to check your balance. Sorry, I think check balance. Yeah. So these three are what we are going to do. Perhaps we'll also talk about the for each for each for each function. That's to loop through an array, and because of my PCs down, I'll actually show you guys. I'm going to show you how to use things like the prompt sync function to input something to collect data from the user in case you want to manipulate. But for now, we could have collected data, but GS Copad is an IDE. I'm not sure if he has a built-in terminal yet. So yeah, I don't think he has a built-in terminal, so we may not be able to do that. So, but generally, to deposit, one thing is that a function is a reusable block of code that executes a specific task. I just want to show you guys that uh, before everything you do must be broken down into bits, functions, smaller things, and they must be assigned to variables. So that's what is called object-oriented programming. But before we go deep down into that, let's is programming paradigms are a fundamental style of programming that deals with the creation of software based on some basic principle. They are of different types: OOPs, object-oriented programming, structural programming, event-driven programming, aspect-oriented programming. But let's deal with this for now. So writes the deposit function. So I believe we can get on with that. So of course we use, let's call the function deposit. So deposit equals to, yeah, of course we have our parentheses. Of course, since if we want to deposit, we obviously need two things. We need the user's balance, the user's previous balance, and we need the amount to be deposited, so that we'll add the previous balance. Now I'm talking about arguments. We are going to add the previous balance to the deposited amount to give the new balance. So the output of the deposit is going to show you how much was deposited and the new balance. So let me just quickly write. Okay, let me just give a dummy account. Let's say balance. All right, let me call it user balance. Let's say user balance was initially 5,000, and he wanted to deposit. Let deposit equals, let's say, just wants to deposit 2,000. So yeah, so what are we saying now? Because the deposit, of course, we're going to take two functions. What we want to deposit, these are the arguments that we are later going to pass into this function. So what we need now are parameters. The parameters are going to take the user balance and deposit are later going to take their place. So let's call the first one deposits. Let's just underscore am. We can put command. The second one balance. Yeah, we can just call balance. that one. So I'm using the arrow functions here. If you can remember when we talked about year six. So forward, and perhaps I'll show you guys how to use a particular function called the prompt sync function. uh Actually, there's a longer way to do this, but it might not be favorable to you. The prompt sync is very short. JavaScript can easily turn into spaghetti code, so it's just better to use the prompt sync. So uh I think from here, once a deposit is made, the deposit should be added to the user's balance. So now, for the first thing, we want the new balance should be equal to what? We want it to be equals to itself, plus equal to what? Plus equals to the deposit amount here. So what am I saying here? Remember, I told you that this syntax above is same thing as writing balance equals to balance plus deposits. Let me just write underscore am like real quick. So what is above is the same thing as what is below. So now that we have our new balance, we're just telling that we could have used the for loop here, but because there is no terminal to collect an input from the user, we won't be able to actually be collecting a new deposit amount every time. So I'm just trying to do it once, so that I just want you to understand the logic of breaking your code down into functions, usable blocks of code. So a building like a simple ATM machine that will be able to deposit. When you call the deposit function, you know it's time to deposit. When you call the check balance function, you know the user wants to check his balance and withdraw funds and like that. So finally we see console the log. Remember, we use our backticks here. If we put it in and we bring this and say um so amount has been deposited inside, so we can just use the dollar sign to initialize a variable in the backtick. We can write okay, what do we write? Deposits amounts. Yeah, I think we can come out of that has been, let's come down, deposited, uh deposit amount has been deposited, comma, new balance is, yeah, then we can attach the balance right there. So if you write balance, or I just get call colleague, if you write the balance, we should just write balance. Yeah, so deposit amount has been deposited, new balance is that. So I think we are done with the function for deposit. Then similarly for this, for checking balance is obviously easy. Just right, check balance. Of course, this just takes one argument. Uh, yeah, yeah. So what's the argument that this takes? This obviously takes the user's balance as an argument. So, what do I mean by this now? Here is going to display the current balance of the user. So that's what is going to happen. So we can just we can still use the same balance as a variable, and just use, of course, arrow functions come down. Yeah, let's not forget to put our semicolons here. And yeah, of course, remember, if you're using the arrow functions, you have to attach your semicolons at the end of each line. So I think I've attached all of them. Yeah, so check balance it, just say console the log your balance is, yeah, your balance is balance. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. We can now close this function and attach there. Yeah, so at the end, so we attach this. So if we should go down, we can write constant withdraw equals to, yeah, to withdraw we need an amount to be drawn. All right, let's create a new variable for amount to be drawn. Let's say we want let's withdrawn equals to just 1,000. Just want to draw 1,000. So this is going to run once when I call the function actually. So the three functions. So to withdraw, we need of course we need re, re, withdrawal withdraw amount, and we also need the balance. Yes, because the withdrawal amount is going to be removed from the balance. So I think here we can now touch our arrow functions. Yeah, and write this real quick. Okay, so here we of course reverse the case. Balance is equals to minus uh sorry, I'm slow. Yeah, balance minus equals to, oh sorry, this is not the syntax. Yeah, balance minus equals to, okay, how should I write that? uh uh withdrawal withdrawal what I'm just telling is that sometimes we get confused. I'm trying to say the new balance is equals to the former balance minus the withdrawal. So exactly. So yeah, we can just comment this out because I think the so that it's not just become confusing. The lower one is a little bit easier. Yes. So uh, but anyhow, both syntaxes still work though. So balance minus equals to withdrawal, balance equals to balance minus withdrawal. Yeah. So if we come down, I think yeah we should also attach our semicolon here, and that should be it. So if you run this thing now, before we run, let me just quickly explain what's happening. We have a user balance 5,000, deposit 2,000, withdrawn 1,000. So constant deposit. That is, of course, we are creating a function to perform the anything that deals with deposit amount and balance. So the balance is equals to the balance itself plus the deposit amount. Then we want to print the deposit amount that has been deposited and the new balance. Then to check the balance, we of course attach a new variable which is balance. Then we display the balance. And finally, to for balance withdrawal, we need if the amount to be withdrawn and of course the user's balance. So that's just practically everything we need. So I guess we can just go on with that like that. So but one thing is that in case if you want to continue, like how will I put it, in case if you want to keep on return something. Let's say you want to return something to the screen. There's actually a function for that, but for now, because that's basically using JavaScript for the backend. But like I said, the course is basically for JavaScript for websites. So I'm just going to be showing you guys the different things the functions can do separately. The first to deposit the amount, you see when the amount is deposited, the answer should be of course 7,000. Check balance, the answer will be 5,000, and finally withdraw, the answer will be 4,000. So if we should call those three functions, let me just write them like real quick. Deposits, deposit amount is deposits, comma, then user balance. So if we should run this, we should. All right, it says syntax error, deposit has already been declared. All right, let me see. I think there is an error somewhere. Oh yeah. The error is that we are using deposit as the name, and also we are using deposit as the variable to be deposited, and we're also using creating the function's name to be deposit. So let's just call this deposits. I think that should fix it. So if we run it now, you can see that, yeah, 2000 has been deposited, new balance is 7000. So if we should go down and we write, so that was an example of a syntax error, or rather it was not a syntax error because the code was correct. I think it was a logical error. Yeah. So the logical error happened not because the syntax was wrong, but because of there was a mismatch of variables. Yeah, so check balance. I think the balance, we just need to input the user balance here. Like I said, we can use a loop to imagine if, let's say, the user wants to deposit once, then come back and also deposit again. You can use a loop, but because JS Copad lacks a built-in terminal, so that won't work. So you can see the second one says your balance is 5000, and the third one, if we say withdraw, and we just enter this, and I think withdrawal, yeah, the name is withdrawn and balance, withdrawn, no comma. What's the balance there? The balance is user balance. If we close this, and sorry, I didn't see, well, it still works. I didn't attach. So, and withdraw. Okay. Yeah, okay, yeah, it won't do anything because within this say display console.log, yeah. Listen, I was wondering why it didn't work. So console.log, yeah, console.log. That what I want to write. So it say um after the amounts after the amounts, now what amount was withdrawn after the amounts uh with yeah, after the amounts withdrawal was withdrawn, then balance is what, of course we just attach balance inside balance here. So after the amount was withdrawn, the user's balance is the user's balance. So if we run this here, after the amount 1000, then the balance is 4000. So I think we understand that. Yeah, you can see it. I think we should just clear all this off. So we could look through that. Perhaps I'll show you in another video how to actually loop. So now I want to quickly show you guys the for each, because this function is very important. We may even use it sometimes, but it deals with when you are connecting your front end to your back end. The back enders are writing the APIs and things like that. For example, if you want to loop through, because APIs normally return data in JSON format, and JSON is key value pairs. For example, let's say you want to loop through some sort of structured data, that relational database management system that has of course, there is a particular unique object that has different fields. What do I mean? For example, name one, or my name, for example, my name, let's say D or the SOG maths, then I have different fields like my nickname, my best food, my date of birth, and things like that. So if I want to look through it, I use this for each function. So all right, so let's get. So let's say we have finally. Let's talk about the for each function. For each, I said that for each is how to look through a lot of things, especially if you are dealing with front end and back end when you're getting data, because APIs that transmit this data normally bring data in JSON formats. And example, let's say if you have an object that has specific fields, let's say the object name is, an object is an instance of a class. When you're dealing with programming paradigms, a software engineer, you should understand there are so many types of programming paradigms: object-oriented programming, structured programming, aspect-oriented, event-driven. Now, what is a program paradigm? A program paradigm is a style of coding that deals with the creation of software based on some principles. Now, OOP, object-oriented programming, is the one that deals with using an object to map related fields. For example, let's say I am an object. The name of the object is D, the estrogen, that's me, and the object fields will be my favorite food, my favorite pets, my date of birth, my age, and things like that. So, um, for each can help you, loop through all those things. Now, let's see. Okay, let me write it here. So for sorry, for each. So now let's say we want to loop through each specific number in a list and multiply them by two using the for each. We can just say, of course, const, let's say const numbers equals to, I'm going to write an array of numbers 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Of course, attach my semicolon. Go to the next line. Now, what I'm just trying to say is that numbers for each number, for each numbers, of course, remember for each is a function, so I can just now write number. Now, what is this number doing here? I'm saying that numbers now, number, I'm trying to create a new variable called number and assign each number inside to that number. So then that now pick each number inside that loop. And now for each number you have, which is each number inside the loop, I want you to do something. Now I want you to get a new variable for me. Let's say const, and I want to call it squared numbers, squared numbers, and I want to make it equals to all the numbers. Now it's looping through all the numbers. Yeah, asterisk 2. Now what this does is that asterisk 2 is that erase them to their squared. For example, 2 will be 4, 4 will be 16, and things like that. So now I believe I can now console the log. Let's use a backtick here. Let's say the square of the number. I'm just trying to show you how to use uh for each. The square of the number. Yeah, let me write the square of the number square of the number is, yeah, we can now write squared number. Also squared numbers, let me just use squared number. Yeah, squared number. I hope we got that spelling right, so we don't run into any syntax errors. Yeah, so if we cover okay, no, it's going to be parentheses and a semicolon. So numbers for each number, squared number is equals to number multiplied by 2, console the log. The square of the number is, so I think we should get the square of the number 2 is 4, blah blah blah, like that. So yeah, the square of number 2 is 4, blah blah. So that's just what I wanted to show you guys. So I believe we can now start utilizing the web aspect of JavaScript.